Hey guys, welcome to the training on how to do pressure cleaning quotes in Workflowmax. We're going to be using near maps for our measurements, and we're going to be also using this the Alltech Industrial Lab Sales Rate Schedule 2019. Okay guys, so you're going to get a copy of this today. It does have some basic rates in here. Talks about window cleaning, pressure cleaning, painting. These are all sort of by the day rates. Now, quite often you're not going to necessarily be quoting by these because you are going to be using square meters taken using measurements of the building, but it is a great way to double check and get an idea based on that of how long those jobs are expected to take if the client should ask. Also, for those smaller jobs, you know that even if they measure up really small, at the absolute minimum, they do have to hit these half-day rates, okay guys? So these rates for rope access technicians go off half day, first day, and then the savings get a little bit more if they have ongoing days or weekly type rates. These long-term by the hour rates are essentially if we're going to be hiring our guys out on a subcontract basis to for other companies in the same industry. So if we're going to hire a guys out to another painting industry or a maintenance company or something like that. Heights, and so yeah, just the window cleaning, pressure cleaning, painting, power tools. This is sort of anything, guys, like sign installation, things like this, where we're going to have guys that are skilled on the tools and also the supply of those tools, doing spray work. Now down here, we have height safety inspections. So we've got the certification charge per point, and if over 40. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The certification charge, $300 mobilization and certification. Now you don't need to itemize that on the quote, guys, but you do have to factor it in. So essentially, when you're adding in your cost, you can add in the number of anchors and the cost per anchor based on whether it's less than 40 or more than 40, and whether they're visual or concrete mounts. And then basically you select fixed price, and that'll allow you to add that $300. Actually, I'm going to give you a quick example of that, what that would look like now. So I'm just going to pick a client here, and if I was going, oh sorry, that's a quote. That'll work. Look, I'm just going to revise this quote here. And I'm going to put in a cost, and this would be for testing, inspection, and load testing and certification of concrete mount anchors. Could put here 35 in total. Look, all the other information regarding exactly what we do and how they're tested will be on there if I was using the proper template. Look, this is just an example so you guys understand how the cost goes in. There's going to be a zero cost dollar on there because there is, well, we can probably put in, 50 cents for the tag, 35 of them, and they're concrete anchors. I think that was $18 a piece. Now we hit save. And we come back out here, so those 35 anchors at the cost price, so that just represents the cost of the tags. So it's going to come out at $630. Now, of course, we need to allow the $300 charge to get that job sorted and get out there. So that's going to be $930. And the reason I can edit that is because up here, fixed price is selected as opposed to calculated price, and that just protects us from, we go out to do jobs and there's 10 anchor points. It needs to be worthwhile for the travel time to go out there. Not only that, but also the time it takes back in the office to issue the certification. Okay, so let's come back here now. Let's look at, actually I'll just better cancel that. So that's a similar thing with the static lines here, $35 per point. What that actually means, it's $35 for a static line, the starting price. and then if over 40 column, just ignore that for the static line. What that actually means is it's $1.50 per meter on top of the setup cost. So we've got a 10 meter static line. It's going to be $35, and that covers, you've got to test and inspect the shock absorbers, the tensioners, and the endpoints. And then as you inspect the cable, you've also got all the cable to inspect and also the intermediary points. So the $1.50 per meter sort of covers all of that in between. So a 10 meter static line would be 10 times $1.50, being $15 plus the $35. That's going to be a $50 charge to inspect a 10 meter static line. Please let me know if you need any assistance with that. Now, install charges is the same thing, guys. So we're looking at a $300 mobilization or certification charge, whichever way you want to look at that. That's just to set a job up, make it worthwhile, even if we're only going to install 1 anchor point, 2 anchor points, etc. And then essentially after that, actually I'm just going to edit that, guys, because it's really not enough in terms of getting an anchor point job started. I'm just going to make that $400. There we go. So that'll cover us even if we're just doing 1 point. Okay, now concrete mounts, 139 or 119. Again, it's per point, or if over 40, they're coming down. Now this column here with the cheaper prices, a lot of the time if we're doing new builds, I would advise on using these prices even if it's less than 40, guys. We just need to be more competitive. We've found in the market when we're doing retrofits, these prices here are more than cost effective enough to win most of the work, especially abseil anchor points. The price that most people are purchasing those, we have the competitive advantage, and these prices here you're going to find are going to be winners most of the time. So there is certain circumstances where we may choose to go even cheaper again, but that's a fairly good middle round, fairly good competitive pricing. Now, square meter rates, and oh, by the way, guys, look for installation quotes. Look, if you're unsure of what the content to put in, just go into recent quotes on Workflow. You can order them by date and just have a look at some recent height safety quotes that have been done there by Jason or myself or by Nick. And by looking at those, you're going to be able to see what they're writing in their quotes, and you just have to reflect that. Don't need to reinvent the wheel, guys. Building wash. So here's square meter rates. So these are the sort of rates we're going to be looking at for building washes and window cleans. We've sort of done a lot of cross-checking with a lot of our old jobs, and we found that we can sort of quote these now without having to worry about sort of having Jason and I out there and looking at each individual drop. We found that most of them are going to sit in these ranges that we have here. Now, I actually haven't filled in the rest of these columns yet, so just ignore these prices here. This is just sort of junk data until I fill this in. But this, for the first example, I'll do this building wash quote with you right now, and we'll just pick a random building, and we'll see if we can come up with a quote for it. We're actually going to pick a building that Michael's gotten us the lead on for a JAL site over at West End, and we'll see how that measures up. So now over to Nearmap. Okay, so here's one of the buildings. Now, first of all we're going to need is the perimeter of the building. Really quick to ascertain. Okay, 220 meters. So we can make a note of that. $220 meters. Okay, let's just shrink that down a bit. It's being a little bit annoying. Actually, probably a great way to do it, guys, because when you draw these perimeters, they actually disappear. They don't stay on Nearmap, but if you if you put a label on it, they actually don't go anywhere. So let's put here, and that way we'll start to get the data. It's not going to disappear from maps 220 meter perimeter. Okay. Now we need to know the height. So let's just switch over to panorama here. I'm just going to count the number of floors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 floors on this one. Looks like there is a sort of a, I don't know if that's a glitch in the image or if there's a small sort of extra penthouse floor up around the corner here. But let's double check that by throwing a little man down on the road here. And hopefully that building was built. Yep, okay, we're in luck. Okay, so we sort of got the ground level here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that seems a lot higher. Is that right? Are we looking at the same buildings here? Oh, okay, that's over the road. Sorry about that, guys. And over here, no. This is... That's not there anymore. Okay. For argument's sake, I'm going to go 8 floors. And for all practical purposes, guys, it's just 3 meters per floor. So 8 threes are 24. 24 meter height. Now, those labels are going to stay there on near maps. Okay, so a little bit of basic math here. We know the height and we know the perimeter, so let's get the square meters, at least of the exterior facades. It doesn't necessarily get all your soffits and things like that, but we'll get to that in a second. So just going to open up my, my calculator here, wherever that is. There we go. 240 times 24 equals 5,760. So let's put that on here. 5,760 square meters. Might just put that's the facades, so people don't get it confused in the future thinking it might be the rooftop or something like that. Okay, so we got 5,760 square meters of facades. Just going to switch back over to panorama to have a look at this. Now, if you look at this building, it's quite dense in terms of, if, you know, you've got quite a lot of balconies. So there's not just big open facades and broad walls that are going to be really fast to pressure clean. Each drop is going to be taking a considerable amount of time. You can see it's all sort of large balconies there. And what you can't see that I got from the information gathered when looking at this with Michael is that it has these big hobs where you can't just push the water straight off the balcony when you're pressure cleaning. It's actually going to pool up and you've got to sort of force it out spitter pipes. And this type of thing adds up and means it takes a little bit more time on the building. So considering that this building is, it's quite balcony dense, and it does have those spitter pipes, it's going to be, I'd say, mid-range. It's not going to be a super time-consuming, difficult building because it doesn't have massive balustrades, the big high kind where it takes a considerable amount of time to clean them and lean over and things like that. So it's got regular sized balustrades. There's no aid climbing, but it does have hobs and a lot of balconies. So I'm going to put that as a mid-range rate. So if we go back over to our spreadsheet here, we've got basic, medium, and large or difficult. So for a building wash and window clean, if that also had large sort of balustrades and aid climbing, I'd be pricing it at around the $3 a square meter. However, as it is, I'd be looking at around the $2.50 mark. So 5,760 times 2.5 equals 14,400. 14,400. Now, if we divide that by 100, well, actually it's a combination of pressure cleaning and window cleaning. So let's say the average hourly rate is 110. Whoops. 14,440 divided by 110 gives us 131 hours, which is a team of 3 guys, approximately a week to get that building done. And I definitely don't think we'd be getting it done any quicker than that. So price wise, it's probably somewhere pretty good in the ballpark. I imagine 3 guys taking at least 3 days to pressure clean that building, and 3 guys would be doing well to get that done in 2 days as well. So that pricing, it might be slightly on the low side, but again, you know, it comes into play how competitive we're trying to be. You know, what do we know about the job? And this building is just one of 5 or 6 buildings in this quote that we're doing, so it's going to work out quite large. We really want to win this work. It's going to keep guys busy, and you know, there'll be a good margin on it overall, so we might consider keeping it in around that $2.50 range for this one. So if we're going to go to back over to Workflowmax, clients, again, I'm not sure that particular building's been entered yet, so let's just pick something out here for the sake, just so we can add a new quote. Now, you won't have to do too much for this, guys. We've sort of got quote templates in the system. We've just got the one wash quote now. We've sort of simplified it down. So if we add this quote, we simply select the template, building wash. Now that's going to put a nice description in there for you. Now it's going to have all of your basic stuff that's basically done in every pressure clean. Make sure you read over it though, because often there's little extras on jobs. So in this case, you know, the clean will remove any mold, blah blah blah, etc. Excludes, includes. Now I would also make mention that's right, so it had spitter pipes that come out from a little rock garden bed that sits along the balcony, and when that drains out, the dirt from the bottom of that rock garden bed is going to continually drain out long after the pressure clean's done. So we made mention to the building manager when they were there that we're going to hand clean after the pressure clean drop. We'd have to come back during the window clean with a damp rag or a sponge and actually hand clean below every single spitter pipe and dry it off with a towel to finish that off. So I would just make mention of that in there. I'm not going to type that out now, it's just time consuming, but you understand what I mean. Adding the special little features in, special inclusions, conversations you've had with the building managers, try and make this as targeted and as personal as possible, especially if you've brought up extras. All right, then I would hit next, and simply the task comes up: rope access labor, rope access wash of all surfaces, followed by cleaning of all external glass as per the description above. Now in here, I'm going to take that 14,400 and the hours that it approximately said, 130 at 110. That gives me my approximate price, but as you know, guys, just by switching to fixed price, we can put that exact price in over here that we need, and it's good to go. Issue and print, and it can be that fast, guys, so you don't need to sit on these quotes for a long time. You can double check it with us or get us to have a look at the photos, but we've found just by sort of categorizing this as your easier buildings, which would be I don't know if you guys know Mandolin up at the Sunshine Coast. It's kind of tall building, just lots of big walls. Small balconies, you're going to come down, there's not too many glass balustrades. Those buildings can be done at $2. On the Sunshine Coast, maybe even less, $1.80 a square meter if you're trying to be competitive and win those. Right up to your big things like Haven over at Newstead. They're just heavy glass, difficult access, massive balconies. These things are, there's 2 to 3 times as much work in them. So finding a sweet spot within that range. And as we move forward, we'll be building a database that's actually going to have photos of buildings, and it's going to have the suggested square meter rate based on that building. So you'll be able to open that up and can sort of compare it to the difficulty and the density of glass and things like that. And through experience, we'll be able to hone those rates and get them even closer. But by implementing this, a simple strategy, square meter rate is going to get you guys out there quoting. You're not going to be relying, on us estimators so much, and it's going to free up that bottleneck. You're going to be able to get back to your clients with prices a lot quicker, and it's going to free up a lot of time so we can get more quotes out. All right, guys. So included in this email, you're going to have this spreadsheet that I've created here. I'm going to finish putting in the prices for the rest of these services. And what else? No, I think that's it, guys. Just hit me up if you've got any questions. Again, leave them in the Slack channel. That's where you're going to be finding this video. And I look forward to hearing how you go with it. Thanks.